Hello everyone and welcome back. This video is going to be entitled "These Familiar Spirits, They Is Not Done With You Yet." Okay, this is some revelations on these familiar spirits. Okay, story time. My mother has been hijacked and rendered physically blind by some demons, these familiar spirits. Okay, recently, the past year, all of a sudden I started having these weird dreams, these weird cravings, and also I began to realize that my life ain't too different from my mother's. The same thing that my mother is facing at her probably close to 70-year-old self, I'm facing, and I've been facing for at least the last 20 years of my life. Okay, and over time I've been able to put this thing together. I've been able to make connections over time of what is actually happening. Okay, there's a familiar spirit attached to my lineage. Okay, so now that they have dismantled my mother, and not only my mother, but all of her siblings. Most of her siblings struggled with, while they were living, the same things that my mom struggled with, or rather, they all died as well to certain things. Okay, for instance, my aunt, she died. I thought she had died from breast cancer. That's what I thought all of these years. But my mom was like, no, she had passed because her boyfriend had stabbed her to death. Okay, so, and my aunt, she was also on crack cocaine and whatever else drugs, that was going on during that time. My mother crack cocaine. My other aunt crack cocaine. One of my uncles, he was very smart from what I know, had a bright future, and he was in college, and he went to one of them college parties. They gave him some kind of drug, and he was never the same. He'd been in crazy houses all his life, and now as an adult, he in one of those adult facilities. And from what I heard, a last update about him was that that one of the people that worked in the facility supposedly accidentally let go of his I guess he was in a wheelchair, and she let go of his wheelchair, and he fell down and stuff. Now his legs is broken. Okay, so I have him. I just named 2 aunts and my mother. That's 4. Okay, then I had another uncle. I didn't really know him much, but I knew of him. But I know that he's a big alcoholic and drug addict. Okay, but he was functional. As far as I know, he always kept the place, and he always threw like this big party in the community every year. But we know that drug addiction is there. He never had children either. Okay, so that's 5 kids of my grandmother. I think my grandmother had 2 twins that passed away early on. Okay, then so that's what 5, 6, 7, 8. Then there was one uncle that I've never ever met. Supposedly, I know that he worked for, like, he had a good job. That's all anybody ever told us about him. Like, he had a good job, and he didn't never interact with the family as far as I know. I never met him in my whole entire life. And he lived pretty much not in the same city, but he didn't live too far from the city we grew up in. But he never came back to see any of his family members or anything. Then I had another aunt, which we heard she had a good job too. She was in the military, but she's in Colorado. And as far as as long as I've been alive, she's been in Colorado, and she don't really have any dealings with the family. And from what I heard, she's an alcoholic. She suffers from alcoholism. Okay, so that's like child number 9 or 7, somewhere there. Then we have another aunt who was the baby, and she's still currently battling addiction. I don't know if she's battling or she's just accepted. She loves it. I know that at one time she was pretty bad out there on it. When my grandmother had passed, my grandmother left her house. And because of her drug addiction, she wound up losing not losing, but selling my grandmother's house for a very low price. You know what I mean? Had she been in her right mind, the ancestors of that generation, they worked very, very hard to acquire property, you know what I mean, and to have things. So I know that this was an attack on our lineage to repossess all the hard work that my grandmother and the and other ancestors had worked hard for in order to acquire property. You know, they acquired these properties probably like in the 60s, 50s or so, you know what I mean, in New York. So that, you know, for her to be on drugs and then have that property yanked from her, that was a curse. That's a familiar spirit inside of the family that is taking things. You know, a home provides stability. You know, had that home been present, perhaps I would not have been facing homelessness, you know, since I left my legal guardian's home at 17 years old. You know, I have been up and down with my housing, you know, which now I'm realizing this is a curse. And this is also this familiar spirit working out through my lineage. Okay. My mother now at age 60 something, right? She, most of her life, she was in prison. So that's where her residence was, you know, but maybe like the last, cause I think she started getting stable around the time I was 20. So, you know, I'm 30, about to be 38. So let's say maybe like the last 18 years, she's been out of prison for the most part. She ain't going back. She hasn't gone back in, you know, for any long stints anyway. When she first came out, she still had, you know, a lot of her youth. She probably was in her 40s. So she was still moving about in the street. She was still living the street life. You know, she liked to live out in Penn Station in Queens in Jamaica out there at the subway station and run the street with, you know, the people that lived down there. That was her thing. So she was still out there and, she enjoyed it. That was what she did, you know, doing her drugs, partying, and being out there, you know. But later on, something happened with her leg. You know, her body wasn't functioning as it was, so she couldn't be out there on the streets anymore. So I know at least for the last 10 years, she been pretty much in and out of hotels. Like she pretty much just stays in hotels, you know, for a certain part of time. Then she might go stay with a family member for a couple months. Like she'll come down to North Carolina where my aunt is and maybe stay there for a couple months. Like, and then she'll go back to New York and stay for a couple months. But she's still in search of this stability at her age. When we talk, it's like she wants to get out of the hotel and she needs a place. And it's like she can't find herself a place. And then every time I would try like to help her find a place, it was like she was so disorganized that I would give up on her because I would put so much energy into helping her achieve her goals, but then she would just throw the whole plans away, you know? So after a while, I got smart and I said, okay, I can't do that. I got my own stuff going on. I'm fighting my own stuff, you know what I mean? And here I am trying to fight for her. I said, if she ain't gonna put no effort in, I can't even get involved with her anymore. So I had gotten to a point where whenever she came down to the city, it was like, okay, you pretty much on your own. I still would help her out and give her leads, but she could never follow up with stuff, you know what I mean? And she always looked for me to do everything. And I'm already a single mother, you know what I mean, burdened. And, you know, I wanted to actually go out and help her, but Spirit told me no during that time. He told me, no, don't help. You know what I mean? Don't help. So I didn't. I got to a point where I kind of backed off heavily, you know. But I say that to say that this is a spirit working inside of our lineage, okay? And now this story isn't too off from many black families. You know what I mean? Especially the ones who moved up north and left the South. One thing I have noticed through travel is that the blacks in the South, they seem to have been able to keep the family unit together. But those who moved up north and migrated out of the South during the Great Migrations, something happened. And I say that to say this familiar spirit is not just familiar to my family. It is familiar to the black race. It's some kind of evil altar erected against our people. Okay, that sends out these spirits to latch on to us and to do the work of somebody, of the oppressors, okay, to keep us in a downtrodden, completely destabilized manner so that we can't do nothing but be slaves, okay? that is the whole mission behind them constantly keeping us destabilized and breaking the family up, right? And constantly taking property from us, taking cars, taking homes and things like that, is because they want complete dominance and control over our lives. And we, according to the construct that they have created, we are to be nothing more than mere slaves. Okay? They don't want you to come out of being a slave. Okay? You might think you're free. You get to go here, you get to go there, right? And on one level, that is a form of a great freedom, you know, because a lot of people don't have that. To choose the things that you want to have, to be able to choose is a great thing. Okay? But ultimately, this is slavery. Somebody has us in bondage without the chains. Okay, without the plantations anymore, the plantations that at least we were taught about and the ones that we've seen in movies. Okay, now just these big warehouses and places where people work at and trade their energy, their life force for some debt, you know, this money that's paper debt that they traded in for. These are the new plantations. But I say that to say there are spirits that I believe the powers that were have utilized to attach them to us. Okay? And I believe, I'm not going to say I believe, but I'm getting a strong inkling, okay, that this God Yahweh, okay, has something to do with it. Okay? There's this famous saying that they took the land, and when it was all said and done, we had the book and they had the land. Okay? Something was transmitted from that book. That book is very much alive. No matter how much you walk away from it, there are spirits that are attached to it, that when you try to do anything contrary than what's in there, other than you being a slave and staying away from your ancestral powers, okay, that's what they want you to do. Be a slave. Don't tap into your ancestral powers, because that's evil. Okay? You're not allowed to do that. So when you decide that that's what you're going to do, that's when these altars in that book start trying to dominate your life. So again, that's the power of writing. That is a book that has dictated the last damn near I think 4,000 years. Not quite sure on the timeline, but it has dictated the mindsets of people for so long. That's how mighty the pen is. And that's why I'm always encouraging us to begin to write the stories, right? Write and create the new world. Okay? Publish it. Publish the manifesto. Publish these writings. And even, you know, it's so powerful. Writing's so powerful that you don't even have to publish it. Okay? Write it, perhaps. Well, we can't say that, because if it's not published, no one gets it. The whole thing with the Bible is that it was published and then it was given out to everybody, you know, and it was made law because people took it, read it, and those spirits latched on to you, okay, and extracted everything from you, because its job was to steal from you and give everything to its master. Okay, so I'm in a pretty good place with believing that this Yahweh, not Jesus, right? Not Jesus, but this Yahweh. And maybe it ain't even Yahweh. Yahweh just might be the culprit just because it's the name that's mentioned in there. But based off his character and what I've read in there, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be too far-fetched that he would be the spirit that's behind our downfall, okay? And behind all the curses that's unleashed on us. Okay? It's not that we did anything wrong. The only wrong thing we did was gravitate to that book and make it law and accept what someone told us, and we was put under a spell. Okay? That's the only thing we did wrong. There ain't gonna be no repenting. Repenting for what? There was a spell casted upon us. Okay? So I say this to say, right? What was I saying? This video was about these familiar spirits that's attached to us. It was a thought that came to me. I said, I know I've seen it before. I said, I might need to burn this Bible, because I believe that this Bible is still talking to this age. Until people begin to burn it in huge numbers, then we kind of still gonna be stuck. We have to eradicate it. This was my thinking. But then I said, well, there are some good things in there. There are some things that people teach that has helped me on my journey and helped my awakening. But not because the information was good or right. It was that in this last year, I've been able to use this book to see that there's no difference between a psychic and a prophet. You know, they pretty much tell you that any spiritual gifts that you have, oh, that's of the devil. But in the Bible, anybody who was supposedly on God's side, right, they all used all these different powers, yet they had different words to classify them, which made them good now. Okay, so just like, for instance, on TV, when we refer to those people that's in the Middle East, we call them terrorists. Yet it's just two group of people fighting each other, but the way they word it to you so that it gets into your mind that these people are bad and they're actually the good guys is that they call them terrorists. Okay, so it's all about language. Okay, and they are masters of language, masters of the English language, masters of spells and spelling. Okay, this is why we're in trouble. We're under spells. We don't even speak our original language. We're speaking someone else's spells that has been given to us. Okay, I don't know much about it, but I know enough about it to know that, yeah, we got hella work to do. We got hella work to do. And like I said, I've been thinking, might be time to burn them Bibles. You know, might be time, you know, to really dispel these curses that have been placed on us and in our lineages. You know, I know there's so many people still in the thick of it, you know, still in the thick of this thing, and not realizing that whether it's the words written in that book, which created its own entity to destroy us, or whether there's actually a true cosmic spirit that is against us, it really doesn't matter. It's a fact that that book is alive. It is alive. And no matter how far we go, its energy is attached to us and it echoes throughout, and it permeates our entire existence, you know. For Black Americans, it permeates our existence. Our ancestors have used it and dealt with it and still use it, you know, because they found some good in it, you know. They love them Psalms, you know what I mean? So they found a way to use it. They've transmuted and did some alchemical work with this Bible to be able to survive in these times and do the most with what they were given. You know what I mean? They've done the best that they could do with what they were given. However, tell me how y'all feel. Tell me where y'all at with it. You know, tell me where y'all at with it, because that's my line of thought right now. Is I'm gonna have to burn this thing, because that spirit connected to that Bible came for me hard this last year. Hard. They tried to kill me. They still fucking with me and still fighting me. Okay? And again, these patterns that we see in our families, we have to be mindful of them. Even if, say for instance, I never was really a drinker or a drug. I did it for a little bit of time in my teenage years, but I didn't really, I didn't do it as an adult, you know what I mean? And I never really had a desire to do it. But do you know that last year I would go in the grocery store and I could literally taste wine in my mouth, you know, and I'll be like, you know, I think I might get a bottle of wine. No, that was a spirit bringing that taste to me and suggesting this to me, because that was the downfall. That's what they used to render my bloodline disabled and cast death upon it. You know what I mean? That's what this spirit was able to do through drugs. I had a dream that I was smoking crack. Okay, I had a dream. I don't know if I smoked the crack or I was like on a corner in my old neighborhood, and a crack pipe was on the ground, and I picked it up, and maybe I thought I would take it or something. I don't know, but I might have smoked it in a dream. Where did that come from? Got no damn desire to smoke no crack. And then shortly after I have that dream, I have this boy who's introduced to my life that is kind of courting me, and I'm checking him out and stuff like that, and he does some motion while we're having a video conversation. He does something like this with his hands in his gums. I said, he does coke. They sent him to try to get me to party and do some drugs so they can get me addicted. Okay, it happened in the dream world first. Now, for the chosen who are not, very easy to touch, this is how these spirits will try to get you. They're going to get you through they try to get you through the dream realm. So when it's done in the dream, then it has to somehow physically manifest. Okay, if your third eye isn't awakened enough, then you possibly can fall into that trap. But that's what the dreams are for, to give you the precognition of what is taking place. Okay, so familiar spirits, or it might just be one great familiar spirit that's not only after your lineage, but after the black race. Because what did they say? COVID killed. It was mostly geared towards black people. How could something that comes upon us is only geared towards us? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That is a spirit. That is a spirit that is attacking us. All of our people, these whole hereditary diseases, they're like, oh, these diseases are they're prevalent in the African American community. That's because there's a group of spirits that these powers that were have attached to us to ultimately destroy our DNA and destroy us. I think that these powers that were are actually some form of extraterrestrials, some kind of foreign, and I've heard too that they're foreign to Earth, or even they were created, and they're different from us, these powers that were. So I just lost my train of thought. But I say that to say these coincidences within a race, right, is no coincidence. This high blood pressure, this diabetes, all our people, the ones sitting up in those dialysis in those dialysis places or whatever, on the machines, our people out here killing one another, our people out here on these drugs and stuff very hard. That is a spirit that has been attached to us. We must remove it. Okay, this spirit of poverty that's on our people ain't never able to have nothing. They keep us scattered, ununified, right? That's a spirit. I want y'all to begin to pray, right? And we need to go into deep prayer and ask the Most High to reveal to us who this spirit is. And it might even get to a point, because I've been asking for quite some time. And like I said, I'm not 100% that it's Yahweh, but I feel pretty good that it's Yahweh, okay? So we need to maybe not even inquire so much, even though inquiring is good. We should inquire, but we got to get to a point where we don't even care. We just need the technology and the science to eradicate this demon. That's what it is, a demon that's been sent out to destroy us and cancel his ass and destroy his ass. We need to usurp all of the ancestral knowledge that's needed to defeat this demon. We know who he is physically, who the physical demon and devil is. We need to know who the spiritual demon is. And we also need to study him to know how we are going to properly defeat him, because we are going to defeat him. Okay, that's what we will do. So study. Continue to meditate. Continue to ask the Most High to pour in the wisdom and knowledge needed to defeat this enemy. Okay, the knowledge needed to unify us, the knowledge needed to nullify all these curses that are upon us, because that's what they are. Okay, these are curses. Okay, and It's time for us to get to work destroying them and destroying the enemy and calling forth our blessings and sending those curses back to their sender. Okay? So that's all I wanted to say. Peace.